Welcome to another episode of Rise to Liberty. I have a rather special show. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I was having some sound issues, it looks like, right first thing out of the gate. Of course. And it always the way. Okay. So we should have it taken care of. Anyways, so first thing I'll say is that the thumbnail, it's total sham. It's only to get people in here, trick them, thinking it's going to be something it's not. But so let's see here. Sorry. Just for the record, I am a Santa believer, but not like the Coca-Cola Santa. That's fucking gay in my opinion. But there are some wonderful traditions all around the world. I'm a big fan of what the Swedes do when they have somebody dress up in a deer skull and walk around and haunt kids. I think it's hilarious. But the actual magic of Christmas is something that I do believe in. So, first and foremost, I've got to say is thank you all for joining me tonight. I know there's tons of places that people would rather be. Well, actually, it seems as though you would rather be here, so maybe it's a good thing. However, I do have a very special show planned, and it has nothing to do with Santa himself. For anyone that doesn't know, this is Rise to Liberty. I am your host, Jacob Johnson, and you are tuning into another episode of Satanic Panic is Real. So I know what you're thinking, that it's Christmas Eve. Shouldn't you be wrapping presents or watching something like It's a Wonderful Life? Maybe. But first and foremost, I did make sure to tell everyone that there was going to be a stream tonight, no matter what. That's how that is. So I'm a man of my word, and I am here to deliver a very important message that is actually really near and dear to me. So it's important that not only do I keep my word, but I actually deliver such an important message at such a crucial time. And yeah, here's the thing. While most of the internet's arguing about all sorts of different things, which I honestly don't really care about at this point, not to say that they don't impact us, but it's just things I don't really care about. I can't do anything about most of these things anyways. Especially my favorite, because I've seen it a couple of times today, is still the whole Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas thing. I honestly could not care any less about this argument. I do love the framing, though, that it's a war on Christmas. It's a war on traditional values. Okay, sure. So I don't really care about this whole argument. Granted, I don't want to hear Happy Holidays. So it's not that I don't care about it. It's just I don't care to argue about it. There's so many more important things. That's the point. And I say Merry Christmas. I don't say Happy Holidays. So, I'm doing my part. So tonight, though, we're going to talk about the actual dark side of Christmas, one that I've noticed very, very few people address. So this isn't culture war nonsense. This is not manufactured outrage. This is like a real possibility, real things that are not only going on, but an actual threat to many people throughout this country, especially as things continue to get worse and worse. So we're going to look at what's happening. We're going to address and introduce probably many people to, they say, the Satanic and an occult calendar. We're going to address some of the beliefs and holidays that other people have, because that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're talking about what they believe, not what we believe. So there's going to be some interesting information that I've found there. Also, I'll give few interjections. The thing, even though you're celebrating Christmas, there's plenty of people out there that's not. They're celebrating things that are the furthest thing from Christianity or whatever denomination you declare yourself to be. Some of these beliefs go really, really far, or I guess really, really far in the past, you know? Another thing is we're going to examine how cults and predatory groups use this time of year when people are most isolated, most vulnerable, and typically lonely to find new victims. And we're going to talk about what you can actually do about it. We're going to talk about the signs that appear when somebody is being recruited by some of these groups and what you can do about it, and hopefully what they will do about it before it's too late. So this isn't going to be your typical feel-good holiday special, but it might be the most important thing you hear this Christmas Eve. Because while everyone else is focused on decorations and dinner plans, there are people out there who are hurting, isolated, vulnerable, and they could be a victim of exploitation. So grab your coffee, grab whatever drink you have. In fact, I think I only have water. Settle in. Let's talk about the dark side of Christmas, because ignoring this is not going to go away. First and foremost, the one thing I will say is that tonight's show actually does have a happy ending. So I will wrap it up that way. I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time, spoiler alert. On top of that, I will focus on comments where I can, but for the most part, there's a few breaks in the planned out show that I have because I want to try and get through this as quickly as possible. I don't want to abuse your guys' time. Everyone has decided to show up and watch, and I want to respect that as much as possible. So we are going to get through this, but I will star your comments, and we'll get back to them at a point at the approved break times, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So just know, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just trying to get through a lot of this information. So first and foremost, we are going to look at specifically male loneliness. However, this actually does address female loneliness as well. So just so you know, even though it does say male loneliness, it definitely is or discusses female loneliness as well. So here's some of the key takeaways that we'll learn out of this is that time spent alone has risen for both men and women over the past 2 decades. Both with similar rates of reported loneliness, emotional support, and close friendship. Around 70% of both men and women feel adequately supported socially and emotionally. Men are somewhat more likely to be socially isolated than women. They are more likely to say that they are not meaningfully part of any group or community, for example. Men and women socialize differently. Women engage friends and family more often, while men engage in group activities. Overall, this appears to be much more of a class gap as measured by education level, rather than gender in loneliness and isolation. Good Lord. Let's see. Forgot to have one thing pulled up. There's always one. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I want to make sure we stay on topic here. Oh, come on. Come on. Sorry. Dealing with too many programs. Let's see. So there's some of this we're going to skip over, but I do want to quickly address the reason why loneliness is actually such a big deal. So we can all feel lonely, but actually experiencing the long-term or prolonged experiences of loneliness can be utterly intense and have negative impacts on our lives. It can affect our health and well-being to the point that loneliness can increase the risk of early mortality by 26%. Loneliness can put people at greater risk of poorer mental health, including depression. There appears to be an association between mental well-being and loneliness. Research estimates that 60% of people experiencing chronic loneliness experience mental distress, compared to 15% of people who are not chronically lonely. 62% of lonely young people say that feeling lonely makes them lose confidence in themselves. Research shows that loneliness is associated with elevated blood pressure and acute stress responses. Loneliness is associated with poorer sleep quality in young adults and sleep inadequacy and dissatisfaction in the general population. And it can also impact our engagement with education and employment. Loneliness in early adolescence is associated with lower educational attainment. 40% of lonely young people say that feeling lonely also makes them less likely to want to progress in work. Higher loneliness levels among employees is associated with poorer work performance. Recent study estimates that the cost of severe loneliness is around, close to $10,000 per person per year. Seems a little low, though. I assume that that's probably low. Due to its combined impact on well-being, health, and work productivity. Okay, so this actually makes more sense. So that actually works out to be, it is an estimated $2.5 billion a year. So that's massive. That is absolutely massive. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. I think that's about everything I had for the very beginning. Let's see here. But why does this really matter? Well, because to you and I, and also based on some of the comments, this idea of loneliness and everything, it is incredibly sad. It can be upsetting, and this is one comment I'm going to highlight right now from Scott. I'd rather be alone than be forced to interact with creepy people with little intelligence. Maybe I have Asperger's. Possibly. I'm with you. So me and Austin and a bunch of the other people that stayed for the Already Dead after show were talking about this, is being in a group like this, or being around people that talk about these subjects often. It's really hard to be around normal people. It's weird calling them. I don't think they're normal. I think we're more normal, but like, I guess the brainwashed or it's really hard to talk about normal things or normal, whatever that is, when there's so much of these things going on. It's like, I don't know how to interact with you. You know, you want to talk about football. I don't care. You know? So now I do agree with this. But the reason why I think that this is important, and the reason why it's important to me, is because I know for a fact that there are people out there with the whole their whole point to this time of year is literally to recruit for their groups. So while most people will view it as like, oh shit, holidays again, there are other people out there literally looking at this time of year as hunting season. Not only for sacrifices, but recruitment, as I said. So that's why this is such a big deal to me. Because granted, I'm with you, Scott. I don't want to interact with crappy people with little intelligence. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to sometimes. But the thing is like, I don't want these people hurting either. Doesn't mean I have to be around them. So this is why it's such a big deal to me. And let's see, there's a couple of things I wanted to make sure and point out. Let's switch gears here just a little bit. Okay, so here is something really interesting, and it's kind of hard to describe, right? It's the occult or satanic calendar. So first and foremost, there are some specific dates that were relevant to old world religions that are still relevant to people that practice those religions now. There's other religions that have co-opted them and made them something else. Each individual group is also different, so there is no one set calendar. And that's kind of what I'm going to be able to demonstrate for all of you. So now there's also a lot of really bad calendars with like Satanic Panic stuff in it. It's the other side of the coin. Like every single holiday is a satanic holiday kind of a thing, So there's propaganda on both sides. It's the point I'm trying to make. And basically anyone can make one of these and not be wrong because, like I said, every single occult and satanic and Wiccan, every single different group has similarities, but there's also going to be very important differences in all of them. Now, some of the most important dates, one that actually just passed, they might still be recovering from hangovers and whatever they did, but it's actually the winter solstice. Now, regardless of what you believe, this is one of the most important holidays that get celebrated in the occult by those who believe in Satanism. Let's see. So this specific calendar, let's see. Come on. There we go. This specific calendar shows, well, let's see. Okay, so there's the date, the type of celebration, what it is, the type of rituals that are typically going to be performed, the usage, like what's the purpose of these rituals, and typically the ages in which are used in the rituals. Just for context, this is specifically a satanic ritual abuse calendar. That's at least that's what it's labeled as. So let's see here. Oh, that might be why I still had something left open that I don't need anymore. There we go. Okay, we'll scroll to the bottom. Okay, so we're talking about November 1st, November 4th, December 22nd, December 24th. Also, Christmas Eve is usually a pretty big one. First and foremost, I will say the number one most important holiday for any Satanist ever. It doesn't matter what kind of Satanism they believe. It is their birthday. It is number one. Always number one. Why? Because the way that Satanists celebrate holidays, particularly their birthdays, it's a celebration of indulgence. It's literally, well, it's just that. I can't think of a better way to describe it. It is just that. Now, the winter solstice is an astronomical event, the longest night and shortest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Occurs typically between December 21st and December 22nd annually. This has also been observed by human cultures for thousands of years, predating Christianity. And this is kind of what I was meaning, is that there's tons of religions that have used the solstice, the equinox, like all of these different celebrations for different meaning. And that's kind of why it's hard to nail down exactly what these mean, unless you are addressing a specific religion, a specific belief. Let's see. So yeah, it really just depends on exactly who you're talking about and what they believe. Now, this could be accurate for a lot of people. So I'm not saying that what I have pulled up is not real. I'm just stating that this isn't going to apply to everyone. And that's important to keep in mind. Like, some people might look at this and just laugh it off because it's so ridiculous. Other people might say, yes, that's exactly what happens. So context. Okay, so the winter solstice, the Sabbat festival, feast day, typically the type of ritual that's going to take place are orgies. You can go ahead and just read these words all by yourselves. Now, here's one of the problems, obviously. Any age, male, female, human, or animal. So, wow. Okay. Also, December 24th, so this evening, there are going to be rituals going on all over the world. So that's going to be interesting. Demon reveals, Demur. This is going to have to be something that we get into at a later date to kind of explain what it is. But this is a high grand climax. It's really releasing demons into the world, basically. Although I have seen different translations of different, like, old world texts that say that it's basically like stealing the good energy and releasing the bad. So once again, this is like really kind of open-ended, whatever specific people believe, but this is supposed to be the last one for the year. So do as much damage as they can on their way out, basically, before they shut the door. So that's also kind of why tonight is so significant. Historical significance of the equinox, the winter solstice. There were Germanic and Norse pagan festivals called Yule. Modern Wiccan Sabbat, 1 or 8 major holidays, kind of depending on who you talk to. These were all celebrated across numerous pre-Christian European cultures. One of the largest similarities between all of these events was the symbolization of death and rebirth of the sun, the return of light after the darkest day. It's kind of, once again, depending on the group, it was largely welcoming the sun and the warmth and everything back, so everything comes back to life. But there's also other groups that worship the sun as though the sun is Satan, the sun god, the bringer of light, all of these things. So let's see right here. So modern occult practice with LaVeyan Satanism, the Church of Satan. Once again, founded by Anton LaVey in 1966, philosophical stance acknowledges solstices as natural power points, but does not mandate observance. So some will celebrate, some won't. I usually would celebrate it by getting trashed. So whether that meant, doing some psychedelics or just getting really drunk, I don't know. It would kind of just depend. Essentially, aesthetic and materialist philosophy using Satan as a symbol of individualism, edgy atheists. Most members don't perform rituals at all, and only personal symbolic gestures. So this actually comes out of the Satanic Bible itself, which we're still going to get to it at some point. Now, here's one of the big differences, is that theistic Satan, the Satanist groups that believe in literal Satan as a deity, practices vary widely. So there is no centralized doctrine. It's like the Wild West of Satanism. It is wild. Some observe solstices and some don't. Generally, very small, decentralized groups, and still very active in lots of parts of Europe. Now, there's also the more established groups where we actually can look at some of the things that they believe or that they do. So we also have the OTO, which is the Ordo Templi Orientis. This is actually one of the groups that Damien Eccles was usually involved in, or at least admitted to being involved in later, and donated his occult book collection to and stuff. Anyways, Gold Dawn derivatives, chaos magic practitioners, many of them mark solstices as significant dates. So they're probably pretty busy. Practices range from meditation to ceremonial magic. The important distinction here is that these are registered religious or philosophical organizations, not criminal enterprises. So just want to say that for legal purposes, that anyone is innocent until proven guilty, unlike that bastard Damien Eccles, who has been proven guilty. Throwing that out there. Once again, legal obligation here. Now, the Christian adaptation to a lot of these same holidays. Now, this is also where I'm going to interject and say I have an issue with some people criticizing, I can't believe you celebrate this holiday because that holiday means this to this group of people. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care what they believe. If I'm going to celebrate something, it's good to know, but I'm not celebrating what they are. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's something that has always irked me. It's like that's cool, but I'm not going to start, it's always the Halloween thing. I'm not going to stop celebrating Halloween because the things that we do to celebrate Halloween now are so far removed from any sort of religious ritual. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. So, but if that's what somebody else wants to do, that's fine. Just stop trying to make me do that thing. But it goes for all holidays, in my opinion. Anyways, back to the Christian adoption of these historical holidays. Early Christian churches chose December 25th strategically, usually co-opted existing winter celebration traditions and Jesusified it. Let's see. So this one reason that they would do this, and I'm not saying it's good or bad that they did this, but one reason is that when they're trying to unite a lot of these different cultures and beliefs, if they were able to centralize the beliefs, then it was going to be a lot easier for people to get along and become unified, which in my opinion is fine to do at a certain point. Like, centralizing certain things is okay. Now, when we're talking about centralizing the entire world government, like a one world government, now so somewhere between one world government and uniting tribes that would probably have nothing to do with each other, somewhere in between there is the line of where it's acceptable and not. I'm not going to make that judgment call, though. Let's see. So now there's also the other side of this. Even though it made conversation easier by aligning with existing cultural practices, there was kind of an irony about a lot of this, even modern irony. This whole war on Christmas thing, often don't really understand the implication of the Christians co-opting a lot of these old world beliefs to begin with. So now I don't think that nullifies their argument. Just flat out, it does not nullify the argument, but if you're going to argue it, you need to understand this. Because also, if you don't understand this, then, it is going to ruin your argument. So, and honestly, I kind of thought this argument was over. The whole Happy Holiday, Merry Christmas. I thought we were supposed to be in the golden era of America, damn it. Hey, at least that's what King Trump said. So, but the fact that I still saw it was interesting. Who gives a shit? Just say it. Now, being coerced into saying something is odd, right? That's a different form of censorship and thought control, because if you control the language, control the words, then you control the mind. That's the problem I have with the whole Happy Holidays thing. There's nothing wrong if you choose to not be offensive. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's admirable. I don't think you need a pat on the ass because you did a good job and you want a treat. I don't care. Not being offensive is not a virtue, period. I don't care. And most people need to stop treating it like it is a virtue. But the one thing I do want to reiterate is that this is all kind of not the point. At one point in time, what we are celebrating today as Christmas itself was literally borrowed or stolen, depending on who you talk to, from pagan winter celebrations. The point is that other people are actually celebrating something different right now. I think most of anyone watching this is probably in the same camp. I'm not going to assume, but it's probably fairly similar. However, that doesn't mean everyone is. What's also most important about this is that we need to understand what that actually looks like versus what panic mongers would want to tell us. Now, one thing I want to demonstrate for you all real quick before we move on here. See if I can get this brought up correctly. Yeah, there we go. So it's kind of hard to see, but actually, let me fix the screen real quick. Come on. Okay, so over on the right side of the screen, you can see this huge list right over here, okay? You might also is what it's recommending me. And now all of these are different satanic or occult calendars, okay? There's going to be very few of these that actually match up and actually are the same thing. So this is important to understand. Some of these are going to be fake. Some of them are going to be made up. Very, very few of them are going to be real with real information, or even just come from actual occult or satanic knowledge. Very few of them, but they do exist. They are out there. And here's what's interesting. Once you find a real one and you recognize the type of information that it provides, you'll never mistake it again. I mean, unless there's like some weird new version of Satanism that nobody knows about, then maybe. But for our purposes, you won't mistake it again once you see a real one. So let's see. Let's get back to this. There's a couple more things to cover in this calendar real quick before we move on. Let's see, scroll back down. So, right here, this is interesting. Like I mentioned before, the highest ritual holiday is a member's birthday, a believer's birthday. It usually involves the member or a victim of the member's choice and someone in authority, usually the coven's leader. The first and third of every month, put 1 and 3 together, it makes 13. Though ritual worship can occur at any time, frequently coinciding with times of stress. All Friday the 13th are high satanic days. They can be, in fact, my personal experience was anyone that I knew would any like Satanist would typically go out and go do something else. It had nothing to do with actual rituals on that day. I'm not saying that nobody ever has. My personal experience was that it was more of a joke. So this is claiming, every Friday the 13th is a satanic holiday. Depends. I mean, you might have somebody with some really twisted ideas that wants to go out and harm some living creatures, whether animal or human, and they might do that. But there's no like set satanic or occult holiday on Friday the 13th. So stop. And what I mean is stop thinking so rigidly like this day is going to happen and blah, blah, blah. Maybe not. There's such a level of nuance to this. It's hard to say yes or no. And in fact, most times you can't. You'll understand better as I go on. So, all full moon nights provide reason for major occult activity. Easiest to move around without difficulty and without being detected. Now, there is a lot of truth to that. There is a much higher probability that something is going to happen during a full moon, period. Anyone that says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. A Holy Week, okay, Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday. Some groups are taught to sacrifice, cook, and well, I'm not going to read that. I've never heard that personally. Obviously, I never experienced anything like that. But I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. Anyways, let's switch to a different set of holidays so I can kind of show the big difference. Okay. This one's a little small. Let's see. Do anything? Yeah, but it screws it up, doesn't it? Let's see. Okay, give me just 1 sec. I think if I do this, and I do this, and I do this, there we go. That helps, actually. Okay, set up the next one while we're doing this. Okay, so this one's a bit more interesting. It has a lot more detail. Okay, what the hell? Let me just reload this. This is annoying. This is a good website and all, but unless you want to pay for it, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay, so now this one says something different, right? Let's see here. Let me look at the other one real quick. So, Demon Revels on the first one that we started with. Let's see, 24th. Yep, okay, that matches. Okay, Satanic Revels. That's different. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of ones that are the same in this. Now, I'm not actually sure where this calendar comes from, but it was scrubbed from it was screenshotted or scraped from a website. Don't know the website, so I don't know who's putting this out there for what. However, just overlooking it, it does seem to be pretty accurate. Okay, so going back into October 13th through the 30th, that entire time. Preparation for All Hallows Eve. I know some people that would prepare all year. So there's that. Abduction, holding and ceremonial preparation of individual for human sacrifice. I'd like to know where they got this information from. So I'm not going to stand behind this. Even though some of it looks right, I'm just not going to say, yes, this is what it is. But it does seem to be pretty on point. Let's see. So October 28th through the 30th, Satanist High. I don't know why they called it that. Holy Day related to Halloween. It was never really related to Halloween. That's a different discussion. Human sacrifice each day. Some. All Hallows Eve and Halloween night. Typically blood and sexual. Let's see. Yeah, once again, Satanist High. I don't know what that means. I've never heard that before. So the winter solstice, the Sabbat festival, feast day. Once again, this calendar also states the highest ritual is the member's birthday. Like I said, that is true no matter what. Let's see. Really? Let's see. Usually, the birthday usually involves the member or a victim of the member's choice and someone of authority, usually the coven's leader. Okay, so it kind of looks like they just copied this other one and then added some things to it. Interesting. Yeah, they definitely got into more detail on the second one. Now, I'm going to show you. Let me make sure it's right where I need it. I'm going to show you guys one. I found one that is a lot closer to what Satanists would actually read. Okay, let's see here. Let's bring me back for a sec. Where is it? Once again, okay, here we go. It's a little hard to see, damn it. I don't have the ability to download this right now, unfortunately. Let's see. So I'm not going to go too far into this only because, I mean, it's really kind of boring. And yeah, Carol, you're totally right. I mean, it is to some people, obviously. But if you look at like Michael Aquino, I mean, he literally wrote over 1,000-page book on the history of the Church of Satan. So it's not boring to these people, is the thing. It is very real and oh so not boring to them. I agree. Even though that this was my belief, there was a certain point where I didn't care about theology. There was a certain depth that I just didn't care about. I'm not going to say I only cared about surface level things, because that's not true. But there's some of this like really deep below the surface, like esoteric stuff that I just did not care about. And I could never get a explanation as to why I should care in the first place. And that's my big thing. If you want me to care, I'm going to have to know why. What does it matter? I was never going to be like a satanic historian, so it didn't really matter to me. Anyways, so this calendar, first of all, is not laid out like a more like a traditional calendar. Let's see, what was it saying before? So a few different days that are going to be of note. All Souls Day, Holomas, Isa, 6 days, ritual drama search for pieces of Osiris, feast of the netherworld, pertaining of the astral veil, resurrection of Osiris. These are things that an actual Satanist would celebrate. So November 1st through 5th, going to be some big days. Lord Lyon's special court. That one I'm unfamiliar with, so we'll have to do another show and maybe go more in depth into some of these. The rebirth of Osiris, winter solstice, and on and on. It says here, in fact, one can say every day is assigned to an entity or energy, down to each hour when you study the Chinese culture. But important they are to the Illuminati and all who operate the arts. This is without the planet's significance for ritual, color, and sound, but most importantly, numbers. For instance, April 19th is especially important as, celebrated to the sacrifice of Moloch by burning, especially children, just to look at some big events that it took place on April 19th, and I'm sure you can already think of a few. The Protestant movement began, I like how it points that out. American War of Revolution began, Waco, Oklahoma City. There's actually several different bombings that have taken place over that time period. Joseph Ratzinger was made pope. One can go through the same scenario with big events. On May 1st, everything within the Satanic calendar is operated to strict esoteric law. We shall now look in detail at 3 dates. The Satanists, and indeed all occultists, understand that numbers contain inherent power, as stated by Pythagoras, the historical Satanist. Thus, they literally order their lives by occult numerology. Lots of them do. Not everyone. Such numerology also is a key component in astrology. Another system of let's see. Okay, that actually doesn't matter. Okay, the occult calendar is divided into 4 segments of 13 weeks each. The number 13 is considered divine by the occultists for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the Bible assigns 13 the meaning of rebellion against the natural order, plus the depravity that caused Satan to rebel against God. So 13 becomes synonymous with Satan outside the 12. The 12 and the 1. The occultists assign 6 to represent the number of man and the 7 to represent the number of divine perfection. Thus, as a person that climbs Jacob's satanic ladder towards self-perfection in the realm of the dark occult, the number 13 represents the state of divine perfection, self-achieved perfection in the light of Lucifer, illumination. 6 plus 7 equals 13. 1 plus 3 equals 4. So, of itself, the number 13 is not, as it were, evil, but the symbolism of the satanic mind has placed upon it, makes it so. Thus, the occult calendar is comprised of 4 periods of 13 weeks each. We list these periods for you below. Then after listing them, we shall come back. Okay, yeah, we're not. Let's see. So winter solstice, really, let's see, 13 weeks, minor Sabbath. December 21st, Yule. December 21st to the 22nd, winter solstice and Yule. February 1st and 2nd, Candlemas and Imbolc, or Groundhog's Day, Valentine's Day. These are all important dates amongst those who practice this sort of belief system. It's just kind of how it is. We're not going to get into why. Now, this source really just does go into why. I don't know. If you guys want to see something like that, let me know, and maybe we could do a whole show about it. Well, it would have to be multiple shows, I'm sure. So specific dates. Let's see if there's any. Yeah, that just looks like a whole bunch of stuff that's going to put people to sleep right now. It's also going to get us off track from where we are. Let's see. Yeah, most of this stuff we're just going to skip for now. Like I said, if you guys want to see or learn something like that, maybe we'll do one and break down a lot of this belief system. So, okay. Now, here's something that needs to be addressed as well. So, 3 different things that need distinctions, or critical distinctions that need to be made. 1, modern organized Satanism, like the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple, are primarily philosophical/political entities. Explicitly non-theistic, so they don't believe in literal Satan, focus on individual liberty, separation of church and state, although for some reason they like to force their religion all over the state. But they're also hypocrites too, so there is that. Do not engage in criminal activity as far as we are concerned unless they have been convicted otherwise. Legal obligations. But hey, we want to make sure I don't end up in a cell so I can keep doing this. Actual occult crime abuse does exist. There are documented cases of it, many. And I am actually working together to finally go through the McMartin case. It's going to take a while to get it all together, but that's one of many. There's thousands of them. There really are. I've been putting together a full list of all sorts of different ritual crimes of different kinds, trying to organize them, and it's been a bit of a nightmare, and it will be. It's a huge, huge undertaking, especially when people want the information to be hidden. I'll tell you that. It makes it so much harder. The important distinction is that individuals/small groups using occult imagery and beliefs are all over the place, but they all believe different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's one set belief. There's not. And one group of Satanists isn't more or less Satanist than another. So when people say that Satanists did this or Satanists did that, It could be, it's usually true. However, it can be untrue because of mischaracterization. Not every occultist actually believes in Satan. Not every Satanist actually believes in Satan as a deity. So it could be accurate and it could not. What do they actually believe? Now the problem, or the issue is that it's kind of used as an umbrella term. If Satan is actually a part of the crime, then yes, Satanists actually did it, and yes, there is a way to involve Satan. Whether he's, whether he is believed in or not is irrelevant if he is brought into a crime. So there are real victims and there are real crimes. They aren't as common as your standard, I don't know, jaywalking. Trying to think of like a common crime. They aren't everywhere all the time, period. That was one of the largest mistakes of the Satanic Panic, of people that should have been taken seriously. There's not a Satanist behind every tree. Just like there's not a Fed behind every tree. Not everything is a psyop. Not everything is propaganda. Lots of it. Not everything. So with that, oh, come on, stupid mouse. Let's keep it moving. Now, Satanic Panic mythology. The belief is that there's, during the 1980s and 90s, there was manufactured hysteria. There were false claims about scope and organization. There was a lot of miscalculation there. This was largely used to discredit legitimate investigation, created an environment where real abuse got lost in the noise, because people, there were people, opportunists, and people that were trying to push this idea into something that it wasn't. There were people intentionally trying to discredit others, trying to make it seem as though it is a joke that these exist. And that's exactly what happened. So now, anybody that performs ritualistic or just repeating the exact same patterns of behavior, which is what a ritual is, anyone that performs ritual abuse is now virtually protected, as if you say anything about it, you're panicking. You're hysterical. It's a moral panic. You're a silly Christian, so shut up. It doesn't exist. That's what we're trying to stop. Now, to move the show forward, let's see. Right. Once again, I mentioned this before, but many satanic holiday calendars online trace back to the 1980s or 90s panic literature, of which there's much. There is real literature out there. Now, here's the thing. Here's one way to tell if you should be wary about it. If the same literature that's giving you the information also cites survivor testimony, that is something to be looked at with a critical eye. It's not to say that it's not real survivor testimony, but if it's from that era in the 1980s or 1990s, there was a lot of charlatans. There were a lot of people trying to take advantage of a popular, or not a popular, but a pressing matter at the time, just like it happens today with other things. So just be wary. Look at it. Doesn't mean it's not real. Just look at it with a critical eye is the point. A lot of these are difficult to verify because, once again, each group has a different belief. So it's really the only way you're going to know is to get into these groups. However, you can look at certain things. Winter solstice, verifiable, historical, legitimate. Levian practices documented through primary sources, specific satanic crime dates, mostly unverifiable. And it's the confidence of saying, this is the date, this is what happens. That's not helping. You can't do that. You don't know these things. You don't. So there's a little bit about the history of these, of what they actually believe. Like I said, if you guys want to get into more of the actual belief systems, we can do that. But that's kind of not why we're here tonight. So let's actually switch gears to kind of what's more important, the type of information that's going to be most important to most people, that is. Let's see here. Why is that? I don't like how that looks. Let's see how it looks up here. It looks okay. So, occult dynamics. Definition of a cult. What is a cult? Who are these people? Who are these people and what are they doing in my house? Okay. Let me see. Let me wet my whistle real quick. I guess we'll take a couple of comments. I get to earlier comments. We'll get to these newer comments later. All right. So please tell me you're not a Santa hater. No, I'm actually not. But not, I don't believe in this Coca-Cola advertisement, though. But I think I said that earlier. A creepy old German guy they call Santa Claus is no different than the Irish leprechaun that promises free stuff. Well, it's not quite that simple, though. It's not just like free stuff. It's free stuff if you can catch him, first of all. And it's also magic-based. It's not just that. But it's mythical socialism for weak, low IQ Eurotards, and I'm American. I did think this comment was really funny. Yes. Yes, yes. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for showing up tonight. You don't have to. I figured most people were going to watch this on the replay. So the fact that anyone is here at all tonight, it means a lot. It truly does. Let's see. Tears for Fear's band member Roland took an interest in socialism following the UK general election in June 1987. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. A lot of those people from the UK do, especially the elites. Or anybody of the upper class, they definitely usually take an interest in socialism or communism. Happy Solstice Eve. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. I completely agree. Happy tax season. Don't start with that horror. Oh, let's see. Whenever there's a huge media event, I usually check the Satanic holiday calendar. You'd be surprised how many times things line up. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to do. The only thing I would recommend is making sure you actually have a good calendar, or, have a couple. If you're into looking things up anyways, it's probably a good idea to have a couple of them to reference anyways, but it's not a bad idea. I'd rather be alone. Oh yeah, we read that. I still agree though. I still agree. Group hive mind or family and friends hive mind, I prefer neither. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hive minds, but what can be said about that is, there's a certain amount of hive mind going on with this group as well. We all kind of believe the same things. We all kind of have the same outlooks. Doesn't mean we're a cult or even a religion, I would say, but hive mind in and of itself is not necessarily the issue. Because, I mean, if that was true, then more than, 3 or more people could never get together and have it turn out good. So that's my argument against that. Mhm. Does it have to do with astrological crap? I assume you're talking about like the belief system. Some of it does, although there is a difference between like astrology that was practiced by old world religions and new age astrology. Those are two different things. The new age astrology is trying to sound like the old one. But it's not. It's not. Not saying that either one is right, but they're just not the same thing. Let's see. Every major civilization built megaliths to mark and celebrate the winter and summer solstice. Right. This is kind of what I'm talking about as far as just because one group celebrates this doesn't mean it's the same thing for everybody. And I just disagree with that absolute statement like that. Wicca is such a LARP and guilty of cultural appropriation, actually worse, because they twisted a lot of the original customs and practices. Right. 100%. Wicca is largely a ripoff. Some guy's interpretation of what he read, and he put together his own thing. But also, you could take that same description and describe Kwanzaa. And the guy that invented Kwanzaa, we should probably do an episode on him. Maybe on Friday I'll do a Kwanzaa episode, because that guy, first of all, he's a cult leader, and he was guilty of sexually harming most of his members, lied about everything. I think he was guilty of like tax fraud, and well, that I don't really care about. Tax fraud's fine. But there was like a bunch of other financial stuff that I wouldn't be okay with. But yeah, so it's kind of all of these new world religions, anything that could be considered new age is largely a LARP, and it's largely, it's just a joke. It's a joke to any actual sort of belief. It's like so commercialized. Satanism sounds so exhausting. It can be. It depends on how you live as a Satanist. Okay, let's get back to the meat of this is what I wanted to focus on. It's really, what is a cult to begin with? Because regardless of what they believe, the very fact that they're out there and that they are looking for people, and I'll tell you this, they don't have your best interest in mind. So this is the important information, which is also why I've never really covered the esoteric and occult beliefs, because, yeah, I mean, it to a certain degree, it does matter what they believe, obviously. You know, do they believe in petting and loving a puppy or kicking that puppy off of a bridge? Like, that matters, right? However, the very fact that they exist, well, because those are the questions first, right? Do they exist? What do they believe? In that order, typically, because based upon what they believe, we can kind of determine if they're going to be harmful or not, which was kind of the downfall with the whole Jonestown or the People's Temple. It's because the actual belief itself looked okay on paper, commie, but okay, and there was no indication, at least on paper, that it would have led that way. Other than the commie thing, because, you know, all communism kills people. So, okay, so the reason I like this resource, the person that is providing the information, Matthew Remsky, is a cult survivor and independent researcher. So, I mean, you can go ahead and go read about him, although I do want to point this out real quick. Please note, we're offering this resource because cult is increasingly being used to characterize the conspiritually and QAnon movements, not because cult literature as it stands is sufficient. For example, QAnon co-founds many conventional analyses through its leadership and gamification. Most cult research has roots in the pre-digital era, and analysis are struggling to keep up. Nonetheless, these foundational concepts are useful in developing an eye for indoctrination, network abuse, and emotional contagion. Which is true. Also, QAnon is a cult, and it's fake and gay. Not supported by this channel. Okay, so classic definition of a cult. A group or movement exhibiting great or excessive devotion or dedication to some person, idea, thing, and employing unethical, manipulative, or coercive techniques of persuasion and control designed to advance the goals of the group's leader to the actual or possible detriment of members, their families, or the community. Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, here's another reason I really liked this resource is because he uses different sources for the specific information. Let's see if I can make this any bigger for you guys. Well, it's at least centered. And this is the kind of stuff that concerns me, though, because, oh, hey, there we go. Because we are living in a loneliness epidemic, these sorts of groups are all over the place now, and they're spreading online, obviously. Also, there's like this innate human desire to want to be liked and all that stuff, which is why groups like 764 and 09A are targeting kids, is because that's easily exploitable. This is why it's a big topic. This is why it's important. So, accessible frameworks. Let's see. So, Michael Langon defines the cultic dynamic as dependent on the 3 Ds. Okay, so the 3 Ds of cultic dynamics are deception, dependence, and dread of leaving. Right. I would agree with that. So deception, the fundamental premise of recruitment, come from the Buddhist. Stay for the trauma bonding, or come for the Buddhism, stay for the trauma bonding. Hare Krishnas. Dependence can be social, financial, existential. The group becomes the sole source of info and meaning. Q himself says, no outside comms. Yeah, right. Dread of leaving. Consider for a moment what it would cost a hardcore Q devotee to give up their affiliation. Consider their challenges in rebuilding bridges. That's true. There's a whole other side to this. You trade one life for another, and leaving a life and everything behind is incredibly scary. So, Steve Hanson's BITE model, which I love the BITE model, honestly, in my opinion. His influence continuum is also useful in addressing organizational health. So the BITE model, behavioral control, information control, thought control, emotional control. The BITE model. Okay? It's pretty simple. That's what a cult is. That is the organization of a cult. That is the purpose of a cult. Let's see. Give me just one sec. I just want to clean up my desktop a little bit so we can keep this moving. Okay. So behavioral control, information control, thought control, emotional control. Now, Kathleen Mann's mind model is also important. Manipulation, indoctrination, negation, and deception. Also, there's 4 instead of 5. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce that name. Okay, so bounded choice. I've actually never heard of this one before. Let's see. So charismatic leadership, definitely a quality of a cult. Transcendent ideology, something far larger outside of yourself. Which, this is one thing that it shares with religion, right? Systems of control, and systems of influence. I'd be curious to know how she defines those. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. But I do agree. A system of control and a system of influence, both important for the structure of a cult. Alexandria Stein's amazing work on disorganizing attachment in cults. Very accessible usage of a common psychotherapeutic model to investigate group trauma bonding. The following slide is from a recent webinar series I gave in the spring of 2019. Okay. I guess it's not there. All right. So, useful axioms. No one joins a cult. People delay leaving organizations that misrepresented themselves. Kathleen Mann, personal interview. In 2 sentences, this profound statement deconstructs the most harmful narrative around cult recruitment we have. That adults freely choose to be indoctrinated and exploited. No one chooses this, and if they appear to, they've been coercively influenced. That is important to know. The most pertinent comparison we can look at to drive this home is the question of why people stay in domestic violence situations. They're not choosing it. Over time, they are groomed into confusing abuse with love. While losing outside perspective and resources, those losses can be gradual or instantaneous. Ergo, replacing a few key words renders, no one joins an abusive relationship. People delay leaving relationships that presented themselves as loving and safe. Sounds a little bit different, doesn't it? So, yeah. I just find it very interesting. Let's see here. Okay. So, I mean, this is kind of a dangerous sentiment to be able to believe that, these are adults. They do just fine. They make their own choices, except for when they don't. And when they don't, well, kind of becomes a problem. It's like, and I don't know what the solution is because, I mean, how do we prove that they were actually, okay, first of all, there are ways to prove that somebody was coerced. But good luck trying to get these people to go along and admit that they coerced people to harm them or steal their money or, steal their free will. I mean, and also what do we do with that legally? Because the question is what do we do about these things legally? It doesn't honestly matter in our society whether, well, it does matter, but the larger picture, we can't do anything about it if it's only morally or ethically wrong. Only if it's legally wrong. So now we as people can also help define what is legally wrong. But that's a huge challenge. Let's see. So there's a couple of notes that I made real quick before we dive too much into this. Okay, so Universal recruitment patterns. This kind of goes with everybody, any group. So this applies to almost every cult, every single dangerous multi-level marketing group that turns into a cult, or a fitness retreat that turns into another Nexium or something. Like, any sort of dangerous organization will have these in common always. Pattern number 1, targeting isolation and vulnerability. Cults don't recruit the strong and connected. They recruit the isolated and vulnerable. What they are looking for: a recent loss, death, divorce, job loss, relocation. Somebody who is socially isolated, new to the area, estranged from family, few friends, going through an identity crisis, life transition, questioning beliefs, seeking purpose. They are also looking for emotional vulnerability, depression, anxiety, trauma, or idealism, desire to make the world better, seeking meaning. You can find more information on this. Stupid mouse, come on. Oh, come on. There we go. So you can find more information on this in Cults in Our Midst, from Singer and Lilac, I believe is how you pronounce. And that's Margaret Singer of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Just a heads up on that. But her cult work is not exactly wrong. That's a conversation for a different day. There's also another resource called Combating Cult Mind Control, from an author named Hansen. It was recommended all over the place. Apparently he, I believe, is an exit counselor and a former cult member. So there's that. Why this matters for the holidays? Well, family estrangement, no Christmas plans, financial stress, heightened anxiety, seasonal depression, increased vulnerability, social media comparisons. Everyone is happy and I'm alone. These are realities. These are the dark truth about Christmas, and honestly a lot of other times, but especially during these times of year, or this time of year. Why it's so much more heightened during this time of year, I'm not 100% sure. I think there's all sorts of reasons, but this is the reality. Pattern number 2, love bombing. What is it? Well, it's overwhelming affection, attention, and validation showered on a new recruit. And it's so unhealthy. So unhealthy. How it works. So these are documented tactics of love bombing. An immediate, intense friendship. You're so special. You're awesome. Man, I can't believe I just met somebody like you. Let's hang out all the time. It's really immediate and intense. There's nothing wrong with somebody who's excited. There's a difference between somebody who's excitable and somebody who is love bombing you. And this is something to keep in mind, because anyone can be loved bombed and anyone can be tricked by it. Constant contact, texts, calls, invitations. Make recruit feel uniquely understood. So if a new person walks into your life and man, they totally get you, man. When it's just all the time. They understand, they get you. I've been there, blah, blah, blah. While they're constantly trying to contact you and, hang out and showering you with compliments. This is what love bombing looks like. They create a feeling of, I've found my people. Rapid intimacy that feels meaningful, but it's not. It's very calculated. And Huggy Bear has this 100% right. The Moonies. In fact, that's my number one source for the love bombing. So look into the Moonies for love bombing. Let's see here. So, and there's all sorts of information on love bombing. There's a couple of things you might hear during holidays. Spend Christmas with us. We're your real family. Don't be alone on New Year's. Come to our gathering. I mean, come on. Exploit the cultural narrative of togetherness to offer alternative community is really what's happening here. So, a real-world example of this is NXIVM recruited heavily around the holidays by positioning itself as a supportive community for people feeling isolated, promised deep connection and purpose. If you want to see this play out, just look at court testimony, journalistic investigations through, the New York Times and stuff. There's also a documentary called The Vow. I've never seen it. I don't know if it's great, but it can at least show this in action. So there you go. Love bombing. Let's see. So pattern number 3, isolation and information control, which is the most important tipping point for new cult members. Once a recruit is engaged, which doesn't take much. It honestly does not take much to get people's attention and get them interested. Now, getting them to follow through is the hard part, but once you do that, that's it. Gradually separate them from outside influences. This happens a lot in relationships. Documented steps. Okay. Phase number 1, subtle separation. Your family doesn't understand you like we do. Your old friends are holding you back. Schedule activities that conflict with outside commitments. Frame outside relationships as toxic or negative energy. And you repeat these things over and over and over. Phase number 2, information control. Discourage outside media. It's all propaganda. Provide alternative information sources, group approved only. Label critical thinking as doubt or negativity. Create a us versus them mentality. Phase number 3, complete isolation. Move recruit into new group housing. Control communication with outside world. Financial dependence on group. Punishment for questioning. So one of the most important aspects of that is the punishment. It's the negative reinforcement. So there's definitely all sorts of places you can find more information on this. And once again, pattern number 3 is isolation and information control. Pattern number 4, ideological totalism and us versus them. So this is black and white thinking, where the group has all truth, outside world is evil and ignorant. God, I can think of so many groups like that now. Which is also why here I totally promote the nuance, let's look at different sources. Like no, that's what we're going to promote here. I hate the whole cult mentality, even if it's not a cult, but the cult mentality of us versus them. It's tiring. So how this manifests, and what I mean is pattern number 4, ideological totalism. How it manifests is cult doctrine patterns. Quote, we have special knowledge the masses don't understand. Quote, you're one of the chosen or enlightened few. Everyone outside of here is asleep, lost, or damned. And here's the one thing about cults is there's always apocalyptic thinking. We will survive what's coming. We're thinking ahead. We're not going to deal with what's happening now. We're going to make a plan for the apocalypse. That sort of shit. And hey, I'm not opposed to prepping at all. At all. In fact, I encourage it. However, in the prepping community, there's a lot of people like this. I don't associate with a lot of those people, especially if you meet them online and then in person. No. you meet them in person, I mean, do your own thing, but be careful of the preppers you meet online. Psychological effect of this type of, or of this pattern, I mean. It creates meaning and purpose. You're special. You matter. It justifies breaking from family and friends because they're not enlightened, right? They don't have the insider knowledge like I do. Makes leaving psychologically terrifying because the outside world is dangerous, or you don't know what's out there, or the end is near. It elevates group leader to like this ultimate authority that you can't question. And if you do question, then you risk leaving. So it's easier to not. And why would you want to question somebody who has seen the light and knows the way, and they're going to take you with them to be able to survive and live in this new utopia or whatever they promise? So there's a lot of really good information on this that you can find through Robert J. Lifton. Don't really care for the man, but he did do some good work on thought reform. This is one of the like pinnacles of a cult to begin with, and also brainwashing, by the way, which is why Robert J. Lifton is the one that did a lot of work on thought reform. Let's see. So apparently, I've never checked this out, but modern research on high control groups, and I'm not quite sure what that is, but Alexandria Stein, Terror, Love, and Brainwashing. So I don't know what that is. I haven't checked it out, but I would assume it's good. That was just recommended to me. Pattern number 5, financial exploitation, the progression. Okay, early stage, small asks. Can you chip in for this event? Framed as an investment in yourself or your growth, positioned as showering commitment. The middle stage, larger financial commitments, courses, retreats, materials, encouraged to recruit others, MLM style. Debt accumulation, justified as spiritual investment. Oh, come on. Stupid mouse. So the one thing I hate about this new mouse, I like it a lot, but just the way that it connects to the computer, sometimes it will go to sleep. It reminds me of, those cars that will like turn off and then turn on when you go again. That's kind of what it's reminding me of, and it's kind of bothering me a lot. Anyways, that's a side tangent. Okay, so the mid stage, larger financial commitments, courses, retreats, materials, recruit others like an MLM, debt accumulation, justified as spiritual investment, Scientology all over that one. The late stages, you sign over your assets, your savings, your inheritance, you sell your house, you move out of the country down to Ghana. Financial dependence, making exit nearly impossible, which is true. Not impossible, but it is far more difficult. Now, real-world examples. Scientology. Courses cost hundreds of thousands over a lifetime. Sea Org members sign a billion-year contract, works for pennies, if anything at all, really. Documented financial exploitation in court cases. I mean, I'm not here to break down Scientology quite yet. We will get to that. You better believe it. Let's see. So just to address this real quick, you can scroll down to your current reading. So I'm not reading from what's on the screen is why. And where I have what I'm reading from actually is not, I'm going to have to upload it because I can't get it up to display it, if that makes sense. But you do raise a good point. So let me pull something up instead of just staring at this. We could always look at my mug. Although probably something better to look at, I'm sure. Let's see. It's actually, you know what? Good on you. It's one thing I didn't have pulled up was anything for this instance, which maybe we should start doing that. Oh, since we're talking about cults and stuff, this is going to be perfect. Let's see. This will be perfect. One of my favorite pictures in existence. I love this picture so much. Okay. Let's see. Damn it. Come on. Okay. 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 There. There we go. I don't know why that was so hard. Okay, let me get this picture pulled up because, yeah, this is my absolute favorite picture. Boom. There we go. Good looking out. Also, does it rain? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Glad you made it. Okay. Now, where did it go? So anyone that doesn't know real quick, the people in this photo is Robert J. Lifton. That guy's a lawyer. Oh, fuck. Why am I blanking on his name? Robert Singer, Jolly West. Damn it, I've talked about him so much. 3 or 4 of the most important people when it comes to false memory syndrome, MK Ultra, brainwashing, all of this stuff. There's just something about this photo I really like. And it disturbs me because these people are disturbing, but nonetheless, it is a really good photo. Okay. So, back to real world examples of this financial thing. Let's see, what the hell? Stop doing that. I do not like that. Okay. Yeah, Sea Org members will sign billionaire contracts, works for pennies, if anything, documented financial exploitation in court cases. Yeah, we will get to Scientology eventually because we've got to talk process, right? So, Nexium. Executive success programs cost thousands per course. Members recruited to pay for more courses. Talk about a hell. Just same thing over and over and over again. And next time you'll be at the next level and eventually you'll get to the top. Ugh. Financial records showed massive exploitation. You can find that, federal court convictions, FBI investigations, New York Times reporting, multi-level marketing, cult adjacent, definitely. Lou LaRoe, many others used cult-like recruitment tactics. Target financial vulnerability, especially women. Promise of financial freedom, deliver debt and isolation. I kind of think this is what OnlyFans did, was, offer them riches and fame and all sorts of stuff. That's just my personal opinion, though. Pattern number 6, thought stopping and loaded language. Cults develop special language and thought terminating cliches that prevent critical thinking. Examples of a thought stopping cliche. That's your ego talking. You're being negative. Don't overthink it. Trust the process. Doubt is the enemy. Trust the plan. Don't do anything, but just trust the plan. It's going to happen. Loaded language, special terms only insiders understand, redefinition of common words, creates in-group identification, makes communication with outsiders difficult. You can also look at Robert J. Lifton's thought reform research on this. Also Hanson's bite model. So one thing I want to ask everyone watching, has anyone ever been in a situation like this? Maybe not a cult, but a relationship, a job, a group, where questioning things were treated as like a character flaw, where asking, but why, made you the problem. Which usually makes you stop asking. So let me know in the chat. Here's a couple of things I just want to address real quick. This is pertinent to this time of year. Scott. Yes, in the military. I saw earlier you make that comment about like the military basically being a cult. And I kind of agree with you. I mean, doesn't it have to be, though? If the military is going to exist, I'm sure there can be improvements made, but like it kind of has to have a certain amount of cult-like structure, because it's literally all about following orders. So not looking for any reason why I'm asking, just trying to get the community and the viewers involved. So yes, in Portland, Oregon. Oh, man. Yeah, Portland is something else. It is a wild place. But yeah, you do kind of have to all believe the same thing. And if you disagree, you're not going to be... I see what you did. I see why it's funny now. Yeah, in Portland, if you don't agree, you're not going to live there very long. Also, why would you want to live around like the craziness there? I'm just not apparently able to understand jokes. Let's see. Come on. Stupid mouse. Let's go. Okay. Just a couple more points I want to make about this, and then we'll get to wrapping up. So let's see here. See if I can do this. Hold on. Trying to make an improvement real quick. So let's close that. Okay, so somebody said, yeah, at work under a female Napoleon dictator, I asked questions, and when people treated me like I was a problem, well, I asked even more questions, more bluntly. Good for you. Okay, so now here's a couple of things. Cult tactics specifically for the holidays or Christmas. This is also going to cover New Year's. This could cover other times as well, but I think it's going to make specific impact at this point in time, or around the holidays is my point. So holiday-specific recruitment tactics. Tactic number 1, your alternate family positioning. Blood family is arbitrary. We're your chosen family. Whatever, that's ridiculous. But it works. It does work. Used primarily Thanksgiving through New Year's. It's also targeting people estranged from families, exploiting holiday loneliness, why it works. So there's a cultural narrative that says that you should be with family during holidays. Being alone feels like a personal failure, and cults offer that immediate solution. This is why they target the vulnerable. Red flags to look for. Invitation to family gathering from people you just met. Super weird. Pressure to skip actual family events for group activities. Immediate deep intimacy, once again, that feels unearned. Some people fall for that. I know not everyone does, but some people just eat that up. Tactic number 2, New Year, New You. I thought this was important to point out. The transformation narrative. The pitch. This year can be different. Join us and transform your life. Peak season, obviously, late December through January. Could also be around tax time when people start getting their tax refunds. Why it works. So, cultural obsession with New Year's resolution for some reason, and this I've never understood. I guess it is a good starting point if you actually have the dedication to actually follow through on something. Then I guess. But then again, if you actually have the dedication, then literally any point could be a good starting point for you. So yeah, I go back to what I said before. I don't understand the New Year's resolution obsession. Now it's also kind of turned into a marketing thing for sure. So that's part of it. Let's see. People generally want change, or genuinely want change. I agree with. Promises a quick transformation. That is like sucker bait 101. There's quick transformation. There's no such thing. Joined by January 1st, artificial urgency. Like I said, I don't understand the urgency. Like, it's just pick any date. It doesn't matter. Expensive programs marketed as life-changing, before and after testimonials that seem too good to be true, or almost any of them ever. Recruitment to cut off negative influences, or anything that targets like emotions. Be really careful of that sort of stuff, especially if you have to pay for it. Many self-help / personal development groups, cult adjacent, ramp up recruitment in December, positioning their programs as New Year transformations. Tactic number 3, financial desperation exploitation. Kind of a mouthful, but holidays are expensive. Many people go into debt. Now, the cult pitch is make money from home, financial freedom. MLM recruitment spikes around the holidays every single year. Why it works? Well, because people are experiencing real financial stress, especially around this time of year. And, under the last several presidents we've had, it's only gotten worse. Promises seem like genuine answers. It seems like an opportunity, not an opportunity to get screwed. Also, one of the biggest reasons why it works is because people have a genuine feeling of shame about money problems, and it makes people incredibly vulnerable. So if they find somebody who was outside of their group, because people don't want to look weak and they don't want to look like they've failed to their friends and family, and if there's somebody outside of that group that's offering salvation, then it's more likely to work. So, and I mean, this can literally happen to anybody. The power of shame being abused is so powerful. It is so powerful. But that's why shame is important, is because it is so powerful. It just needs to be wielded correctly. The red flags. Be your own boss, paired with upfront costs. Always a red flag. Don't do it. Emphasis on recruiting others, right? Pyramid schemes. Income claims that seem unrealistic. Those are everywhere. Pressure to buy inventory or starter kits or samples or anything along these routes. Let's see. Okay. So, let's see right here. So this is an interesting statement, Desert Rain. I love this. I used to work in the fitness industry. Super culty, by the way. Super culty. And most people give up on New Year's resolutions by February 12th. Interesting. How do you know, like, is that literally something you observed, or is it like, did you see that somewhere? I've heard different dates and stuff, so that's kind of why I was curious, but I do know it's not that long after. And also, yeah, the fitness community, talk about culty. Holy hell. Let's see. This I can get rid of. Okay. And there we go. Let's. Okay. Sorry. Just, okay. Here we go. Okay. So here's a couple of things that might raise, some suspicion. Somebody you met 2 weeks ago invites you to spend Christmas with their community or their family or whatever. A group offers free holiday meal but wants you to stay for 3-hour introductory session. Possible. They're not always timeshares. Online group says, we're your real family, not those people who don't understand you. New friends get upset when you can't make their event because of family plans. That's almost always a dead giveaway. So, I mean, these are the things, like real world things that will happen. Now, I mean, I've experienced them. I don't know if it was a cult, but I have experienced weird interactions with people like this. It happens, whether it's a cult or not. So, really, this is this. I don't know why I'm stuttering. This was so I could point out the things that everyone needs to look for. I'm going to go over a few things to help protect yourself and hopefully so you can notice things and can protect other people as well. And then we're going to get out of here. So, but really it's the most important for me to point out what's wrong, who's doing it, and hopefully you can leave this with some knowledge in how to protect yourself. So, how to protect yourself. Principle number 1 is honestly one of the best things I could recommend to anybody, and that's trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Like 9.9 times out of 10, it's going to be off. And it's going to be correct. Red flag checklist. Does this group or person demand immediate commitment? Am I being discouraged from talking to family, friends about this? Is questioning treated like a character flaw? Are they asking for money early and often? Do I feel pressured rather than supported? Is there us versus them mentality about outsiders? Yeah, well, just don't be involved in politics and you'll avoid most of that. And if you're outside of politics and then you're also coming across us versus them, it's probably a cult. Am I being loved bombed? Which is super important. Overwhelming attention that feels unearned. So your gut exists for a reason. We've been socialized to ignore our instinct to be polite or open-minded. There's nothing, like I said, being polite's not a virtue. You can be neutral. You don't have to kiss ass. Being polite is not kissing ass. Being polite is not being rude. There's a difference. Being open-minded is overrated. I mean, granted, be open to new experiences and stuff, but you don't have to accept other people's beliefs, and you don't have to be open to accepting them. You just don't. That's what it is. So now if you want to be, go for it, I guess, but that's it, But if something feels like it's moving too fast, if the attention feels manipulative rather than genuine, trust your feeling, period. Principle number 2, maintain outside connections always, always, always. The most important defense, practical steps, is keep relationships with people outside of any new group. If group discourages this, major red flag, always, forever. Regular check-ins with trusted family and friends and let them know about this new group and what they're doing. Don't isolate yourself even if you're excited about a new community or friends or whatever it may be. Why this matters. Cults need isolation to maintain control. Outside perspectives provide reality checks. Support networks give you exit option if needed. all death sentences to cults. Principle number 3, financial boundaries, money rules, hard lines. I mean, this would be my hard line no matter what. Legitimate communities don't require large upfront payments. That's why they're optional here. Spiritual growth shouldn't cost thousands of dollars. Your spiritual growth is between you and God or whatever you believe. I do hope the best for all of my audience, though. No group should ask you to sign over assets. I don't want any of your assets. Income opportunities that require you to recruit others. It's just like, don't people know about pyramid schemes at this point? Like, don't they? If they say you have to invest in yourself, or if you're serious about growth, you'll find the money, these sorts of things. And just flat out tell them no, just walk away. The financial pressure is just nonsense stuff at this point, but I think it's not going to work quite as well just because people don't have the disposable income like they used to. But there's other ways to recruit cult members. So research before committing. Do your homework. Google the group leader. And also, when you type in the group or the leader's name, put cult, scam, or complaints behind it and see what comes up. Check. Now, be careful. Be very, very, very careful with the ex-cult community. Okay? That is not... I'm not going to say just like walk into ex-cult meetings or the exit counselors, like all of these people, just be wary. Not all of them have best intentions in mind. Not all of them are good people. Some of these people that work in this industry are still cult members. So, and they try to get you back. So when you're dealing with these ex-cult members, these ex-cult resources and stuff, just be careful, because I mean, they can rope you right back in, or you can think, like, oh, I would love to help some people like this, leave a group like this. And then the next thing you know, you're in one. So, just be careful. Not going to name names, but, yeah. So look for, ex-member accounts. Once again, be cautious, but they do exist. Now, if they have huge names, once again, I'm not going to name these names. You can do your own research on who they are. But if they are huge, they have massive reach. Yeah, probably something weird going on. Anybody that says anything, make sure and verify claims as much as you can. And if you can't, go back to trusting your gut. Regarding any groups, are there lawsuits, criminal charges, patterns of allegations? Groups will often say negative information is persecution or lies from people who don't understand. But if that's a pattern of similar allegations, pay attention. Now, how to help others. If someone you know is being recruited, what not to do. Don't attack the group directly. It creates defensiveness. Don't issue ultimatums. It pushes them towards the group. Don't shame them for being stupid enough to fall for it. I don't care if that's how you feel. You don't let them know that. Now, what you do. I'm such a child sometimes. What it is that you do. You maintain that connection no matter what. Period. If the connection is broken, let it not ever be your fault. Stay in touch, even if they're pulling away. Keep communication lines open. Be the lifeline they can come grab when ready. Ask questions. How did you get involved with this? What do you like about it? Have they asked you for money? Are you still able to see other friends? If it gets to the point where you need to say things like this, then say things like this. Express concern without judgment. I'm worried because I care about you and want to make sure you're safe. This reminds me of fill in the blank pattern. and that concerns me. So there is Hanson's author I've mentioned a few times throughout this, Hanson's strategic interactive approach, cult exit counselor protocols. I can't necessarily speak for the man himself. I don't know him. But the things I have mentioned here tonight are legitimately good information. Is it perfect? No. There's always room for improvement. But this is about some of the best stuff you're going to get. But like I said, I don't know the man. If someone you know is isolated this holiday, the proactive approach is to reach out. The person who's been quiet on social media, the coworker who mentioned they're not going home for the holidays, the friend who's going through a breakup or loss, the family member you haven't talked to in a while. Simple gestures. Hey, what are you doing for Christmas? Want to grab coffee? I'm doing a low-key thing. You're welcome to join. Hey, just checking in. How are you really doing? Now, why does this matter? It fills the vulnerability gap that cults exploit. Maybe this is somebody you don't want to spend time with, but just the very fact that you called them and asked could be enough to stop them being involved in something like this. Genuine community versus manipulative community, period. That's one of the biggest reasons why this matters. And the most important reason why all of this matters, the reason I did this stream tonight, the reason why it's so important for me, for you guys to be here and to spread this message is because this might literally save someone. I don't know. It could. And anything I can do to get this message out there at a time when people are exploited for so many different reasons. And if you missed the very first of this, we are, dealing with a massive loneliness problem. Not just in this country, but worldwide. The uncomfortable truth is that cults succeed because they offer something people need: belonging, purpose, meaning, or community. The solution isn't just warn people about cults, just tell people to be suspicious, or just to focus on the negative. But the solution is to build the alternative, be the genuine community, offer real belonging, which is something I've always been trying to do here. So you can't just tell people don't join cults. That doesn't work. We have to give people a reason to not join. And when people are isolated, predators will hunt and predators will find their prey. We need to make sure that there is less and less prey. We have to be the community that actually cares, that actually shows up and actually gives a damn. Because here's the thing, I don't have to go out of my way to, kiss someone's ass to be their friend or whatever. If somebody ever came to me regardless and said, hey, I really need, to talk to you or something, and if they were genuine, I would talk to them. Doesn't mean I have to like them. But if somebody truly needed me, of course, no questions asked. So this is really kind of the message here. It's not because we want something from them, not because we're recruiting them. We need to be these people because we're human beings and we take care of each other. It doesn't mean we take care of everybody, because not everyone deserves it, and that's a whole cold, hard fact. So we're going to wrap up here. I think we've covered quite a bit. And like I said, I do not want to abuse the time that you guys have been so welcoming and actually had joined me for a live, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. Even the people that are watching this on the replay or listening to the audio version, I definitely appreciate you as well. Although next time, show up for the lives because they're usually pretty fun. Let's see here. Okay. So we'll like I said, we'll wrap up here. But here it is. Christmas Eve. The dark side of Christmas is what we've largely talked about tonight. We've talked about occult calendars, cult recruitment, vulnerability, exploitation. which is some actually pretty heavy stuff. But here's what I want you to take away from tonight. First, knowledge is protection. You know what to look for. You know the patterns. You know the red flags. That knowledge might save you or someone else you love. Second, loneliness is being weaponized right now. Tonight, there are people who are isolated, hurting, and vulnerable. And there are predators who know exactly how to exploit that. Don't let them. Be the person who reaches out. Be the person who shows up. Third, a real community doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't ask for money. Well, that's not true. I ask for money all the time. I don't demand it, though. A real community doesn't isolate you. It doesn't make you choose. Real community makes you more yourself, not less. Always remember that. And finally, if you're watching this alone tonight, if you're struggling or if you feel isolated, you are not alone. This community right here is here when you need us. Reach out, tell someone, anyone. Don't suffer in silence, and don't let that suffering make you vulnerable to people who will exploit it. Check on your people. Be somebody's lifeline, and be the community that you actually do want to see in the world. And I know it's a cliche. I hate that I said it. I really do. But it couldn't be truer. This is the real message tonight, not the calendar stuff, not the cult tactics. It's this. It's we have to take care of each other because nobody else is going to do it. This is how we win the things that we are facing right now, is becoming this incredibly strong-built, strong-willed community built on truth, reason, logic, evidence, and love. This is how we fight the evils in the world. And this is the message I want to leave you all with tonight. Now on that, I'm going to ask for money. If you guys would like to help what I'm doing, please, by all means, head on over to allmylinks.com and, hit up any of these platforms. They all help. Make sure that you follow me on at least more than one platform, though, because there's no guarantee that I'll stay on one. That's just the way it is. We live in a world of censorship. Now, if you have the means to do so, you can, add to my coffee fund. I drink a lot of coffee. It's my favorite thing to drink outside of water. So you can donate one time or you can donate monthly. It's up to you. You can also donate on Ko-Fi, direct to PayPal, direct to Cash App, Bitcoin, Monero, all of these different things. If you can't, and I understand, times are definitely tough. That was one of the topics of tonight. I understand that entirely. So one of the most important things, even if you can donate or do donate, hit the like, share, subscribe, follow, leave a comment, these sorts of things. You have no idea how much that actually means to these platforms, which I can't always stand, but it allows the platform to know that people like this, people want it, people watch it, so it sends it out to more people. So that's some of the best things you can do. And I think on that, I will say I hope every single one of you have a very Merry Christmas. And we will be doing a show on Friday, so keep an eye out for that. 5:30 p.m. Mountain, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then back to our regularly scheduled program from that. So until next time, stay free, my friends.